If you're into fitness and live in Northern California, there's a decent chance you've heard of Holmes Nutrition. Anyone that has tried Holmes Nutrition protein powder would say the following two things about it. One, that it's the most delicious protein powder they've ever had, and two, that it tastes just like cake batter. The powder itself even advertises how it's great for baking. One scoop has 22 grams of protein and only 3 grams of sugar, but it tastes so much like cake batter that someone got suspicious. This Redditor sent in 3 different flavors of Holmes Nutrition to a lab. They sent samples of chocolate cake, lemon cake, and cinnamon crumb cake to this lab, Certified Laboratories, and all 3 powders came back with the same results. Instead of 22 grams of protein, this protein powder had 21 grams of carbs instead and only 3.4 grams of protein per scoop. Ever since going to the Muscle Girls Cafe in Tokyo, Japan, and subsequently watching Physical 100, I've been absolutely obsessed with getting buff and working out. I was lifting at the gym 5 days a week, and of course, I was hitting my protein macros each and every day. Or so I thought. So you can imagine my absolute despair and nausea when I found out that my favorite protein powder that I had been using for years was not even protein powder at all, just a sweet batter mix with trace amounts of protein. An egg, a single egg, has double the amount of protein than my protein powder had. The protein powder I was spending $75 per bag on. For years, I unknowingly was essentially working out and then immediately celebrating afterwards each day with a scoop of cake batter. I can't just sit and stew in my room and be mad about it all by myself. I need other people to know about this because this is crazy. So first of all, Holmes Nutrition Protein Powder is not sold in big box stores or on Amazon. It's a company created by Sacramento-based bodybuilder Bobby Holmes and his wife. It's only available on its website, holmesnutrition.com. So how did I even find out about this protein powder in the first place? Well, the smoothies that my gym made were fantastic. So one day I peeped at the protein powder they use and I wrote it down and then went home and started buying some. And it was just delicious. It got to the point that any person that entered my house, I would be offering them some of this amazing protein powder, saying it tastes just like cake batter, and they would agree. I felt like I discovered the holy grail of protein. It's so sweet, but only has 3 grams of sugar. Most protein powders use artificial sweeteners, but this one uses cane sugar, sweet whey, and creamer, so I thought they just cracked the code on sweetness. But if things seem too good to be true, they probably are. So for me, I'm one of the lucky ones because this just affects my gains, but for others, this is a major health issue. The Redditor included in their post that they even saw a comment on Bobby's Instagram from someone saying their blood sugar shot up despite the label claiming low sugar and carbs. To make matters worse, in the comments, people were buying this protein for their diabetic family members that have been having issues with their glucose while taking this. And this commenter had real-time data that this protein powder was causing sugar spikes. The original post with the lab results were posted on Reddit on March 3rd, 2025. On March 27, they posted an update saying that Holmes Nutrition has removed all of their protein powders from their online store. So when we go to the Holmes Nutrition website, it has the following messages, starting with the bottom being the oldest. Unfortunately, we have encountered an unexpected issue with the manufacturing facility for the protein. Due to the large increase in demand, the current facility was having issues. We are quickly searching for a new manufacturer. We hope to find a company that can grow with us. We are also working with a different manufacturer on growing our line of supplements and hope to add to the pre/post as soon as we can. Please check the site for updates, and if you have any suggestions for new protein flavors, please send us an email. The next update says, we are still diligently working on vetting new manufacturers and will share an update as soon as we can. Once protein is available for purchase, we will notify everyone via email. We absolutely love your flavor suggestions. Please keep them coming. With the final update saying, we are sorry there is such a delay. This will be our 4th manufacturer and by far the hardest to find. Unfortunately, we don't have a date yet, but we are working hard on this every day. The protein market is flooded, so manufacturers only want to work with large players. As soon as we have any solid information, we will update the site. We will definitely email everyone when we know exact dates. For myself, it was either in March or April of this year, 2025, that I first noticed the products were unavailable on the website and that Holmes was citing manufacturer issues. So since the Reddit post was already up by the time I independently noticed their website, I don't have definitive data to show if the products were pulled down before the post went up or after or in response to this post exposing them. But given the timeline within the post, it seems that these messages on the site were after or in response to this Reddit post. When you Google Holmes Nutrition, this Reddit post is not at the very top, so I didn't even see this post until 2 days ago from the time of recording this video. But prior to seeing this Reddit post, since March, I had been diligently waiting and checking the website every few weeks, waiting to see if the protein was back on sale. And I was always running into these messages on the website. And honestly, the reasoning always sounded to me kind of like obfuscation and like a pretext to some real truth, even before I found this Reddit post. You would think that if the protein had such a large increase in demand, they'd at least stay with their current manufacturer until they could find a larger facility to get their product out and at least have partial production. They've been down since at least March, which means that that's at least 9 months of no sales. They've also completely removed all protein powders from their site, which is unusual for a company just facing production issues. The fact that they've removed all products is more consistent with trying to avoid selling a misbranded product rather than just having issues with production. So what does sound more plausible than having issues finding a manufacturer is being exposed for inaccurate nutrition facts, which is a major legal and regulatory issue. Okay, wait, as I was editing this video, I saw this Instagram post from Diamond Tier Fitness, which is this gym in northern Sacramento, that said it's selling Holmes Protein. It says, it's that time again, the best tasting protein, Holmes Protein is back and all your favorite flavors are in stock. But as of right now, they are still not selling it online. So it looks like they're selling it like directly, like hyper locally. I don't know why they're not selling it through their site or if they've resolved any of the issues, but as of right now, they still have not addressed the lab results. And the Instagram post said that the product would be shipped by December 8th, which is a few weeks before right now. So I don't know if they're going to put it back on their site or what, but as of today, they are selling it directly. And the fact that they're taking this route instead of just putting it back on their site is fishy. Speaking of legal and regulatory issues, while I was writing out this video and looking at my bag of protein powder, I noticed that the dietary and dietary fiber on the bag is spelled wrong. So this indicates that Bobby and his wife created this nutrition label themselves, which is allowed by the FDA, but does open the door for extreme inaccuracy and lack of trustworthiness in what's claimed on the label. So the FDA does not approve supplements or protein powders, so you're never going to see the FDA approved stamp on any of them. But that doesn't mean they are exempt from the FDA's labeling regulations. They still have to follow the FDA labeling laws. In addition, it includes non-dairy creamer as an ingredient, but Pursuant to the Code of Federal Regulations, Title 21, Section 101.4b, if an ingredient is made from 2 or more ingredients, it must declare the established common or usual name of the ingredient, followed by a parenthetical listing of all ingredients that ingredient is made of. So, this has more ingredients that make up that non-dairy creamer, like vegetable oil or possibly even dipotassium phosphate, which are common ingredients in non-dairy creamer that are just not listed in the ingredients list. Additionally, it says cane sugar as an ingredient, so we know there are added sugars, but it just lists sugars, 3 grams. The Code of Federal Regulations, Title 21, Section 101.9, specifies that added sugars must be declared separately from total sugars and include the percent daily value. So, not only is the protein and carb content completely misstated, but there are just so many problems with pretty much every aspect of the packaging. In the post, the Redditor suspects amino spiking as the cause for this discrepancy in protein content, stating, lab results strongly suggest amino spiking may be happening here. So, as a quick mini biology lesson, when we build muscle, it needs protein because protein provides the essential amino acids or the building blocks to fill in those tears we get from exercise and to build new muscle tissue. And so for amino acids, we have essential and non-essential amino acids. The non-essential amino acids are the ones that our body can produce, so we don't need to get that through supplements. The essential amino acids are the ones that will help us build that muscle and is what we need to obtain from outside food sources. So amino spiking is using cheap, junky, non-essential amino acids to artificially increase the overall protein content of a powder. So they'll use these junk amino acids that our body can already produce, like taurine, glycine, L-arginine, and L-glutamine. And these amino acids will not help you build muscle. So we don't need to get them as a supplement because it's not going to do anything for muscle synthesis. So when you take a protein supplement, you want to be taking essential amino acids. And so amino spiking is a pretty well-known issue in the protein powder and supplement industry, but the Redditor says that the lab results show that this is indicative of amino spiking. But let's look at the common telltale signs of spiking. So first sign, is the protein powder cheap? In this case, no, it is not cheap. Secondly, does it include taurine? Taurine will not help you build muscle, but it is a common, cheap, non-essential amino acid that is included whenever amino spiking is a thing. According to the amino acid profile on the bag, this protein powder does not include taurine. Does it include glycine? Yes, but a small percentage according to the profile. Does it include high amounts of L-arginine? Not with respect to the other amino acids in this profile. Does it include high amounts of L-glutamine? No, it's not present. So just going through the standard checks for amino spiking, we're not seeing clear evidence of that. Now, given the rest of the inconsistencies on the bag, I'm not sure how much stock we can take in the listed amino acid profile, but even completely disregarding the amino acid profile on the bag, amino spiking would still show up as protein in lab tests. So the lab test listed would not be showing only 11% protein on the results if it was amino spiked. This lab test specifically uses the Kjeldahl method, which would still read high protein. Given these facts, I disagree with the original poster that Holmes is using amino spiking. To me personally, it really just seems like we just have a complete misrepresentation of the protein versus carbs content and that the nutrition and ingredients label is just simply wrong. I'm not a lawyer or a judge, so I can't say whether this was intentionally deceptive or just severe incompetence, but either way, if Holmes is misstating their protein content, they're not the first ones to do this. The demand for protein products is at an all-time high and continues to rise, but the supply chain can't keep up with this increase in demand, and so the price of whey and whey isolate is a lot higher now. So this opens up that pressure element of the fraud triangle and opens the way for some shady dealings. In April of 2021, Beaumar Nutrition was sued for overstating the protein content of their protein products, and the test results showed that the protein powders had way less than even half of the protein content they had stated on the packaging. There was also a lawsuit against Premier Protein for not actually containing the amount of protein that was advertised on their labels. And even Muscle Milk was sued for false advertisement. They listed some of their products as being lean, even though it had the same amount of fat as all of their other products. So at the very least, misstatements or false advertising among protein products is not unheard of. And several commenters in the original Reddit post were very on board with a class action lawsuit against Holmes Nutrition. But according to the original poster, somebody already looked into a class action, but found that Holmes Nutrition just apparently doesn't have enough assets to make it worth pursuing legally. So I know this was a long video, but I just had to talk about this. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm just a person that is angry and wants other people to be aware of this. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening to what I have to say. I hope you have a great day and that you don't find out that you were scammed by your protein powder.